Morning.
Good morning.
Any public online, no public in the audience, but welcome to for the record. April 30, 2025 meeting of the Sited Reservation Water Management Board. And I'd like to start with an opening prayer. Georgia, would you be so kind?
Sure.
Please.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we want to take a moment today and acknowledge you and thank you for the day that you blessed us with and for the people that we share it with today. We ask that for each of us in this room that we be given health, a quiet mind, and a desire to serve our community. And we especially lift up George today and just pray that he heals quickly, and also for Roger that if he is ill, that you just be with him. And we ask this in your name.
Thank you, Georgia.
Yeah.
As always, meeting minutes can be found at www.frwmb.gov for those who are interested. Attendance, please.
Clayton Matt,
Here.
Roger Noble, George Maguio,
Here.
Ken Pitt,
Here.
Georgia Sneed,
Here,
Shane Hendrickson.
Okay, a couple missing, we have a form, thank you. Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
George?
I don't have a video of you guys there. I just see myself.
Okay,
I can hear you good, but I don't see anybody. Oh, here we go. Okay, thank you.
well, we see you.
Can you hear us all right, George?
Yeah, I can hear you real good. Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you. If something else goes wrong, please feel free to interrupt so we can get straightened out.
All right, appreciate it.
Okay. So disclosing any potential conflicts of interest. George, have you had a chance to look at the agenda?
Yes, I have. No conflicts.
All right, Georgia,
no conflicts?
and no conflicts, none for myself. Okay, I think we're good. We want to go through a couple of meeting minutes for 3/27 and 4/17. So looking at 3/27 meeting minutes, please. And George, you have access to all the documents?
I looked at them earlier.
Okay. So we're gonna look at the meeting minutes of March 27th.
Yeah. Yeah, I just reviewed them half hour or so ago.
Any comments, questions, concerns? If not, we'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
Chairman, I move we approve the minutes for March 7th, 47.
Motion by Ken.
I'll second.
Georgia, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Georgia, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Approved. Moving on to 4/17.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'm probably gonna have to abstain this one, on this one, that wasn't there.
Okay.
Are we still able to vote on that?
Mr. Chairman, board members, you do have a quorum, and even if one of you abstains, the majority of the remaining, board members should work. Haley will correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Thank you. I have a question on anything, please feel free to. Yeah. Meeting minutes, April 17.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the meeting minutes from April 17th.
Motion by Georgia,
I'll second it.
second by George, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. That's good. And one abstention, minutes approved. We want to adopt now today's agenda. Any comments, questions, concerns about today's agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of edits if you would allow.
Go ahead, Ethan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under item 4, the funding agreements with the state and the tribes. There's an action item listed, 4.3, which was to take action. I would like to split that action item into action item 4.3 and action item 4.4, with 4.3 being the funding agreement with the tribes, and 4.4 being the funding agreement with the state. We need to handle them slightly different for each of the action items, which I would be glad to walk you through when we get to item 4, if you'd be willing to make that slight modification there.
Okay, questions on that? Any objection to that change?
No.
George?
No. No.
Okay. So we shall, so it'll be 4.3 will cover the funding agreement with the tribe. And we will add a 4.4 funding agreement with the state of Montana.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one other small correction, if you'll allow. I'd like to remove item 6.1, which is the office updates with water rights and traffic reports. I think folks got a pretty good update at the last meeting, and we determined that we did not need to update the water right and traffic reports for this particular meeting. So I don't have those for you today.
Okay, any objections?
No.
No.
Good, so we will strike 6.1 for the day. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments? Suggestions, changes to today's agenda? Regarding the, no, Roger is not here. Regarding the executive session. Is there something you guys want to tackle in the executive session today?
Mr. Chairman, board members, I added that session. I was hoping to talk to you about some staffing items.
Okay. And given that, George, will we have access to your meeting room for our executive session?
Yeah, I can give them a call here in a little bit and let them know.
Okay.
And so that's going to be about 1 o'clock or so.
That's my next item. I have a pretty hard stop today myself at 1. Which means I need to be through even the executive session by 1 if we can.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
board members, we could just meet upstairs. There's a seating and some tables up there. That would work for you to try to reduce the logistics of shift in the middle. We can call George in if that would be okay. Thank you.
That work for you guys? Okay. Either way, that for me, if we can start the executive session. How long do we need for the executive session?
I'm gonna guess, 20 minutes maybe.
Okay, so we'll,
At the most.
so if we can start the executive session at 12:30. So wherever we're at 12:30, is break it we have. Is that acceptable?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
George, okay,
And I do have it pretty hard to put together.
okay, all right,
Midterm.
okay, does that work for you guys? Haley says that I can get on the road earlier. Right, for our executive session, we need Haley.
She's welcome to join us. But I think we should probably have,
Okay.
she'd be the other person who'd do the minutes for, your executive session, Jimmy.
All right. All right, with those changes, we'll pick a motion to adopt today's agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to adopt today's agenda.
With those changes,
Yes, with the changes that were made.
okay. Select motion by George, second by Ken, all in favor, say aye.
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 All right, we have an agenda. Any public online yet?
No problem.
Okay, so at this point, we offer public comment for items not on the agenda. There is no public to comment today, so on to board business. We need compensation for February 2025. Which item?
For the February board compensation, it's just committee pay. We already did regular board meeting pay in March.
Okay,
So this would just be catching up, the committee pay.
have you talked to Roger about
Yes.
this?
He has approved it.
So Roger has approved this, so we'll take a motion to approve this. For, board compensations to committees for February 2025. Roger's the only one on it, so
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the February 2025 compensation for Mr. Noble.
motion by Georgia,
I'll second.
second by Ken, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And,
The next one is regular board compensation on the orange sheet for all board members. And
for March 2025,
yep. And below it is the committee pay for March of 2025.
okay,
And I believe that you usually approve these separately.
okay, fine. So we'll start with board compensation. For March 2025.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move to accept the board compensation for March 2025.
Dr. Roger on this one as well.
Yes, I got email.
Okay, we have a motion by George. Any other comments, questions before we take a second?
I'll second.
Second by, motion by George, second by Georgia. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, on to board compensation committees, March 2025.
So, Mr. Chairman, I just have a question. Not shallow.
Ken.
Both Roger and Georgia have prep to appeal. Was that actually a committee or not just?
That was just extra meeting time, and if you want to put in your hours, we can also.
Do that after that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, please do. Okay. Are you good?
I'm good.
And Roger was good. Ken, you want to make a motion to?
Yeah, I move that we approve the board compensation for the committees March 2025.
Motion by Ken, second by George, correct?
Yep.
Second by George. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So,
And then the one last thing is there's just a statement of accounts in there. It shows that we have 8.5 weeks of operational funds. That our funding agreements are getting ever so close.
and we're gonna talk about those today, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that is it for me.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And for the record, each of those actions requires public comment, but no public comment is available to make a public comment. So, okay, item 3.4, if I'm not mistaken here.
Yeah, I'll just give you all a quick little update on that. So, my office received, the registrations from DNRC on Monday morning. Blair and Kayla both dropped those off at my office and they're slowly being filed away in some cabinets and in some organizational methods, that I'm still cataloging right now. But those will be available for the Office of the Engineer to formally request.
How many boxes are there?
About 20 boxes.
20 boxes?
Yep.
Bankers boxes, regular size banker size boxes?
Yep.
Very good. Good. So next time you're in Helena, if you want to see our files, stop by and see Haley. You can check out our files. Any surprises or anything we need to?
No, it actually was very smooth. So.
Very good.
Mhm.
And you're crowding them into your office or?
Oh, we have plenty of file cabinets for these. I was anticipating a box truck full, but we have plenty of file cabinets for the 20 boxes.
Super. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions?
No, but that's a big moment. We've kind of been waiting
Yeah.
for that, so,
More progress.
wow.
Progress. And so we have an internal plan for how to start requesting those. That'll happen starting.
Mr. Chairman, board members, we're gonna get through a little bit of a slump of backfill of applications that this office has already issued that we need to integrate into the water rights database. And as soon as we get through that, small workload that I'd like to get buttoned up, we'll start, looking for batch requests for registration so that we can move those things forward.
Okay. Just for our information, when you do, just let us know.
Absolutely. We'll have to request it from you, actually.
Yeah, and as far as I'm concerned with my cataloging of everything, just to make sure the board did receive everything that DNRC was to deliver to the board. I anticipate having that cataloging done by the end of the week.
Wow, super. So how many people do we have working on this?
Just myself.
Oh. Good luck and thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. So, objection, move on to item number 4, funding agreements. With the state and tribe, and so we will go into discussion. And then as we talk, we'll go 4.3 and then 4.4, so. Take it away.
Mr. Chairman, board members, so we have, we had some discussion with the state and the tribes. We had a couple of minor edits to get the agreements in alignment with the board's fiscal year and to address a couple of other, I'll call them minor items. Those we've gotten active approval from the state which had the tribes copied on there, and so we do have, final versions of those funding agreements. The way, I am gonna suggest the board enact those, if they so choose to enact those today, will be, to authorize the chairman to go ahead and, sign the CSKT, the funding agreement between the board and the tribes. And then we can transfer that over to the tribes, and then that'll allow them to run the agreement through the tribal council to get it authorized there, and then head over to their fiscal department.
Okay. For the record, staff and legal looked at this and
Yes.
prepared for us to move this forward.
Yeah, and if I could provide a little bit more clarification on these as well, so,
Please.
we, from the last meeting, took your edits, provided those to Ethan, who then provided those to both respective parties. We did hear back from DNRC saying that they approved the edits. We have not heard back from Tribes Legal Counsel. Probably because they're in the compact litigation, the hearings that are going on these 3 weeks. So we have not heard back from legal on CSKT's agreement. So that's why we have two different action items. One with the tribes will be for you to enter into the agreement today and sign and deliver that back to legal to then look over and sign. And then,
Or tell us different.
sure.
Okay.
And then the states, that since they've already approved the language in the contract and everything, they just have some slight internal processes where we actually cannot sign first. So the action item for the state would be to just enter into the agreement and sign after the state signs.
With that explanation, a couple of questions come to mind. With the tribal one, I assume if we sign, we send it prior to their having agreed, then they'll look at it and decide at that point.
Correct.
Okay, and with the state one, I'm reminded that the last agreement or two, they required we send an invoice. Is that still required?
There has been no request for any invoice at this point. Obviously,
Well, we sure could, based on this.
I think that the invoice that you're talking about was for fees associated with the registrations. If I remember correctly, are you talking about in recent times, Mr. Chairman? Or,
Well, I could be mistaken, but and it's a simple matter, I think, but I just hadn't heard because I think the last time or two around for the funding agreement, they required me to send an invoice. So anyway, I think we can solve that pretty easy if they require that. I would just keep your ear to the ground for that.
absolutely, we'll jump through whatever invoicing hoops might present themselves and be prepared to do so, Mr. Chairman.
All right, board members. Starting with CSKT funding agreement. Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
No.
Okay. And again, action requiring public comment. There's no public to comment at this point, so if you're ready, I'll take a motion to approve CSKT FY 2025 funding agreement.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve CSKT's 2025 funding agreement.
Motion by Ken,
Second?
second by Georgia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good. We have now, whatever one you want me to sign, I can do that today.
Yeah, yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, after the meeting, I'll just put that right in front of you and get your John Hancock on there. Thank you.
Very good. All right. Item 4.4, the state agreement. Any board members, any other questions, comments, or concerns about the funding agreement with the state of Montana?
No.
Hearing none. If you're ready, and again, no public to comment. For the record, if you're ready, we'll take a motion to approve funding agreement.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the 2025 funding agreement between the state of Montana and the board.
Motion by Georgia. Second by Ken, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. And, as was explained, it'll get sent to the state so they can sign it first.
Yes.
Very good.
Yay.
All right.
We don't run out of money in 8.
8.5 weeks. Yeah.
Closer.
All right, then.
That's closer.
But it
Alright.
did take a couple weeks for the last one, so it's gonna be interesting.
Okay. Item 5, IT enhanced security updates with first call.
Mr. Chairman, the board members who were present at the last meeting got a little bit of an overview and review as we went through the 2025 IT strategy report. For those not in attendance, if you have any specific questions that you might have about that report that is in your packet, please feel free to let me know what you'd like me to do my best to answer. Just kind of as an overview, we have engaged First Call in a 3-year contract. And this is approaching the 2nd year. And at this 2nd year interval, we are anticipating a need to add some fees to handle enhanced defenses of security, IT security. In addition to our current service agreement. And this report really gets at that expanded service arrangement, which is approximately $215 a month for the organization, with an additional fee that we'll need to absorb, which is purchasing enhanced Microsoft 365 licenses for everybody in our organization. And so this is before you to make sure that we get the board's A-OK, and we can go march forward with implementing this enhanced defense agreement and purchasing the upgraded Microsoft licenses.
So, in nutshell, the enhanced portion of this does what?
The enhanced portion allows a higher level of monitoring of our systems so that malware, spyware, or ransomware, which are all bad wares to have on your machine, will more readily get identified. And it also sets up procedures to ensure that the backups made of essential files for this organization will be held outside of harm's way of any of those wares that I just described. Does that get it?
Yeah,
And what you're looking for, Mr. Chairman? Thank you.
I think so. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. We had talked, I believe it was in our last meeting, we had discussed the fact that our board office has matured, there's more of us, there's more computers. There was a need to have an external network administration capacity. I'm not sure if I'm using the right term.
An
on
IT
that.
function?
Yeah, and I didn't know if that's addressed in this contract. If that's an additional charge or fee that would need to be.
Could you help me? What's the external administrative?
I don't, internal, external, I think what we talked about was the concept of adding for our office, for your office, an IT function. Remember,
Okay,
and
yeah,
you-
the personnel,
Personnel, yeah,
to
either-
assign to
Either that or a contract.
these tasks.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm guessing that that function is not part of this contract, but that's George's question.
Yes, I'm sorry, for not tracking.
No, I didn't ask the question very well, so. good
No,
complaint.
I think in hindsight you did, I just didn't track, that is not part of this agreement.
Okay.
This really is focused on, what we, currently get from First Call, so that's wrapped up into it, which we have. Some of this agreement we've already committed to, because we have a 3-year ongoing arrangement, this just adds to that, this enhanced security feature, the likes of which you actually really won't notice, like it, so we were.
If
That's-
it's working, you don't.
Right,
notice it.
and so you would really not notice it unless something goes very wrong, but, that's, I know it's always hard to pay more for something that you won't. It's kind of like better insurance, you won't really notice it unless, you really need it, but, and so that does not, address the, potential to get a, some kind of personnel to help out with IT, and I am still working on that. I did hear you guys loud and clear that you'd like to see if there were some options on that front.
Any other questions? Well, I have a couple. Just remind me, the monthly charge is for. $250 a month.
That's for the enhanced security.
So that's all part of the enhanced. Okay.
That, yeah, that
So
was,
that's on top of, that's not. Total then for what?
that is correct, that's on top of. For our full, sorry, I lost the page here, I'm trying to answer your question as we go back to it. So that would be an additional onto our 1,080 per month that we currently are paying. Bringing it up to 1,325.
Okay, that answers that. And, as you described what the enhanced protection is, I guess it raises a question in my mind, like, realizing this is a contract for service, what's the guarantee? So if it's enhanced protection to stop malware, and malware gets through, what's our guarantee?
But
How does that work? Software work? Does anybody know?
so the malware, I mean, we're getting on the edge of my abilities to fully answer this, but I'm gonna do my best. But the malware or the ransomware, what would occur is, in this, we did get hijacked our website, which is under a separate protection through a separate agreement, not this particular agreement, which is a little confusing because they're both from First Call. But the contract for our website is a separate contract with First Call, and actually they have they're compartmentalized into their web resources and then their end user resources, which is what this contract that we're looking at here today. And so when our website got attacked, you go click on it and it would say that you needed to go to this link and pay money to get your website back. And what we had paid for that particular website protection was that they were just able to go in and reboot the system off backups and restore things before the ransomware got in there. And then we're also able to identify how it happened through their software that kind of goes in and sleuths out what the gap was. In that case, it was a registry gap in the website platform. We would potentially have a similar situation if one of our end users, board member or staff, was to open up a malicious email, click on it, and then quietly that downloads into the system and then gets broadcast throughout everybody else as our systems are tied together through cloud technology. And what the enhanced defense does is it just cycles through all of our cloud technology. I'm giving pretty. We could get the guy in front of us if you wanted to hear a better explanation.
So that was my next question, and that's my
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
If the board is interested in hearing more about that, maybe we can, not today, but maybe in a future meeting, just ask what that, have you thought about that from a legal perspective? And what's the guarantee? I mean, so we pay for this and then it doesn't work because something gets through and causes damage. What's our guarantee?
Yeah, I mean, typically in these types of contracts, there's pretty strong language like in favor of the contractor.
Yeah.
It mainly because a lot of the ways that malware, ransomware, phishing attempts gets in is from the user itself, not from the contractor. So there's actually more of a liability risk on their end than on our end.
So they're on the hook for damages?
No, if
They're-
it comes in from one of you guys, then that's our own burden to bear.
Okay,
But what they would be on the hook for is to help us with, we have 250 gigabyte blocks of cloud storage where we have backed up things, so that if one of these malicious pieces gets in there and starts eating away or eroding at files or something to that effect, we have somewhere that's backed up. And we also have another place that's backed up, is our Office 365. So what we're trying to do here is have multiple redundant file backups in multiple redundant places, none of which are actually here. But that helps us with the long-term integrity. That's part of the feature that is safe. You know, that bit is, that's the recovery portion of if something goes very bad.
If you're interested, are you interested, board members, in hearing more about this directly from the horse's mouth here, so to speak?
I'm interested, but I think we're wasting the time on me.
I guess I don't need to know the details of what they do, but it is helpful to know what they will do in that.
How this is gonna work,
Yeah.
basic on how this works.
And I think I got a better understanding of that, but yeah, I think we're at more risk than ever before.
Yeah, George?
Yeah, protecting our data is pretty important, I think, so I'm all for it.
So maybe a sort of a high level explanation, maybe we can just advise them to either here or on something, just a sort of a high level explanation of how this works from that. Certainly, yeah. That way at least we've heard it, but we understand it, but not we've heard it. And we can ask questions if we have them. So. All right. It says, board action, what board action you need?
Mr. Chairman, board members, I need you to just approve the enhanced security package and upgrades to the Microsoft licensing so that we can enact this thing.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
So. Maybe a little redundant, but you've looked at it, staff looked at it, you looked at it, you're ready for us to approve this? For now, okay, all right, motion to approve it, when you're ready, board members? Motion on the IT enhanced security updates with first call.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the first call IT enhanced security updates.
Motion by George Allen,
I'll second it.
second by George, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, they're approved. Thanks. Ethan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members.
6, Ethan, take it away.
Mr. Chairman, so we've, winnowed down item 6 to really just be talking about the water rights information system and updates, and I appreciate having a little bit of time to talk to you today. I am, in need of a little board direction on a particular, water right information system, action that needs to occur this afternoon. We've made a lot of very positive progress moving forward. We've got most of the boards, Flathead, F-type water rights are all integrated into the database so that we can manage those from an application entry point all the way through to the issuance of the water rights and manage that data. We are at the cusp now of getting some of the final portions needed for changes and new appropriation permits. You know, we've got, and that kind of leads us into the harder level of stuff that we're gonna need to work through with the state to deal with, which is ownership updates. Yesterday, staff, including myself, were in 3 hours of meetings with the state, dealing with the database to manage upgrades that are needed so that we, as an office, would have access to the historic use function of water rights. And what that means is that when our staff would go in, we would be able to look at an existing statement of claim, look at an existing permit that are state-based. We would be able to then create a new version. And in that new version process, we would be able to designate what the historic use was. And this is a thing that happens across the rest of the state with their policies and procedures. We wanted to ensure that we have that option here out of our office. And historic use is when there's a more detailed look at what the water right was actually used for, and it breaks things down into historic diverted amounts, historic consumed amounts, and historic flow rates, along with some other items. But that's really the gist of it, is because you really have got to make sure what was being used before you can look at what you might be able to change to a new type of use. And the idea that has been prevalent throughout the state is that the way prior appropriations is set up, you would not want to upset the historic use pattern on the landscape, as that would be likely to affect water supply of other users in a way that was not historically occurring. In other words, I'll just give you an example, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman. If somebody had water right for 200 cubic feet per second, and it turned out that when you go and you look at their historic ditch, it could only really service 15 cubic feet per second. Chances are that water right number, the flow rate, is not a good match for that historic use, right? And so when somebody looks at what could be changed, they would look at those bottleneck points to determine whether or not the full 200 CFS had ever really been used before authorizing a new use of that 200 CFS. I hope that was an all right example. The example could include other things like inflated acreage numbers, inflated, consumptive use numbers, you know, a whole array of things. It is probably the, most technically challenging, part of water rights administration. Yes, sir.
So far so good, I think. Any questions on that so far?
No.
Far so good?
Okay, so, we had to really work with the state to, justify that we needed access to the historic use function, which is, I believe, set forward right in our, in the ordinance. But we have, come to, a trouble spot, because in that same feature set on the database, is, you know, an existing permission that allows, you know, that would allow the office of the engineer staff who have access to the database to change the historic priority date for a water right in the new version, not in the original version. And I say version because when a water right is changed through change authorization, it creates a new version of that water right. So if it was the original version, then you go to version 2, right? Version 3, maybe after that. And what happens is as you create a new version, that becomes the main operational, you know, piece of that water right. The old version was something different. It's historic. The state, you know, decided that they currently have access to that same feature, and they have generally decided they wish that their staff did not have access to that because they didn't want to see changes occurring to priority dates. And typically around the state, priority dates are not, they're not changed with without some real intentional thinking, right? For us, however, and I'm gonna get Amanda to pop open the ordinance for us, so that I can show you a little bit of language from the ordinance. We, out of our office, do have some very explicit requirements to change priority dates for water rights, specifically water rights that are transferred to tribal trust. So when the tribes own a water right, and if you could go to section 2-2-126. And that's the section that deals with the Water Management Board's adjustment of priority dates pursuant to the compact. Able to find it in there? So you're at keep going down 2-2-126.
Long ways to go.
Closer to what you're there. Oh, 2-2-. All right, you're getting closer. Keep going. Sorry.
126, right?
Yeah. All right, and whatever we could do to highlight that for board members. So here in the ordinance, what we find here is that under your authority, this office would have the requirement to change priority dates for water rights that the tribes have and decide that they would like to convert to become part of the tribal water right through this trust conversion, at which point we would be required to change that priority date to July 16, 1855. Okay, and I know this feels a little I've given you a lot to think about, but that is what we have to kind of manage here, when we're dealing with the database and water rights forward. So the impasse that I'm having with, the state of Montana is that they want to, change the database in a way that would disallow us from being able to change this priority date. And they have said that they're not ready to manage what's required for this section of the ordinance, the tribal trust transfers. And our staff is having a hard time agreeing that we should eliminate this database function that we know we need. And so the impasse that we had is, we were told in kind of no uncertain terms that the NRC leadership would not approve moving forward with the historic use function unless that database story, which is a fancy way of saying the developers write this functionality in the database, that manages who has permissions to what fields. Unless that story included eliminating the Office of the Water Engineer's access to changing the priority dates, which we know we absolutely have to have. So I hope I'm trying to paint a decent, clear picture of what is a complicated topic. But the DNRC's current suggestion is that we we make that modification and take what we can get done with the historic use and go back and revisit it later. And it is our position that we would like to not go backwards on changing functionality that is already in the database, changing it in a way that would, be a step backwards on and make it so that we could not fulfill our obligations under 2-2-126.
Okay, I might have some questions. Let me start with board members. Questions? Questions? George, questions?
No.
So, I guess my first question would actually be to look to the data, since this is part of the compact, what
Mm-hmm.
the state also approved the compact, so this is kind of something administratively, how can they follow us up on this?
I mean, I don't know the full conversation or inner workings that happened. My assumption, and just from hearing from staff yesterday, is that the two bureau chiefs who are the essentially rubber stamp for continuation of wireless development, might not be aware of this. So I think better communication, maybe more clear communication, a quick little letter or something to the bureau chiefs would be probably the best solution to deal with this. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this, and the conversation that I had, this is only applying to stories involving the trust transfer process. So that would be, at least from my point of view, a relatively simple adjustment.
I would think so too. Other questions came to mind while you were talking, was just to try to clearly understand this historic use information. It's part of the DNRC database now.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, and this is a standard functionality that the database provides the recording what would happen in a change authorization when a water resource specialist, water rights specialist, goes in and reviews somebody's application to try to change the water right. And so they would do a technical analysis, they would conclude these historic values, and then they would input that information into the database. Now, we started off getting having our access to that feature limited because, there was some confusion by, the DNRC that feature was actually part of, adjudication. And, they did not realize that feature was actually part of, new appropriations. And so, not something used exclusively by the water court, instead something used more exclusively by, water resource administrators, forward-going water resource administrators. And, it is, true that we have been, trying to honor, a lot of the, lockouts from statements of claim, because, permissions, lockouts, because those statements of claim, those elements for statements of claim are really under the, the responsibility of the water court until they go through the adjudication process. And so there's not any part of us, that are particularly interested in getting in and, tinkering with, non-essential portions of any statements of claim. This, however, would be what we could do after creating a new version of a water right, any water right that will be state-based.
Well, Haley's suggestion of a letter, is that something you can work with, or?
Yes.
Or you have other ideas?
Mr. Chairman, board members, like, I need to, respond, by late this afternoon, either in a, either acquiesce to having that feature removed, or, providing a stance that we think they need to just leave that the way that it is. And, and move forward. I personally thought that this item should be, contemplated by the board so that I wasn't just out there,
Well,
making the decision to slow things down because they, they'll be writing things backwards, in terms of our functionality.
so in try to make this in simple, practical terms, either this section 2.2-126 applies and works, or it doesn't. And if we go the way the state is saying, it doesn't. But we want it to work.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think I wanna maybe flesh this out a little bit more here. So just to clarify, are they talking about removing the historic tab use or the historic tab function for all changes and permits? Or was it just in the context of the trust transfers?
It would be, including the historic use functionality for all changes of all state-based water right types. Okay, it would be removing the priority date portion for all the same types of rights. So anytime that you're creating a new version of a water right, so which could
You
be
can't change party date,
that,
but we need to be able to do it for this purpose.
you're right on it. And
Well-
so, yep,
So I wanna make this very clear. This section only applies to trust transfers.
Correct,
It does not apply to permit changes in general.
correct.
So, yeah, I just wanna make that clear that if you're gonna be citing this or using it as your rationale for needing the historic tab, it can only apply to the trust transfers.
well, there's no segregation in the database based on what is or is not in trust, or what will or will not be in trust.
But there will be some sort of application to where a water right that is state-based will come into trust. There is going to be that process.
Yes,
Right, and so there will be a specific water right that would be flagged at that point,
yes,
that would need the ability to potentially change the priority date to the 1855 priority date.
yes.
Okay. I think I can maybe understand where they might be coming from in terms of just overall changes and permits, right? Because I think that would be stepping into the shoes of the water court at that point. Like, this office does not have the authority to just look at a water right that they're given and do that without any sort of formal change application that's been filed. You can't go in and just, intentionally change elements of a water right without a specific change authorization or application filed to this office. So I think that's maybe where they're coming from, which is why I think the conversation needs to be had on what the actual rules are. As far as I'm concerned, this section only applies to trust transfers.
I get that, going back on, just trying to understand what I heard. In a change process. They and you need access to historic information to make those changes, and they didn't have any problem with access to any other changes. But have a problem with changing priority dates.
That is accurate.
And we don't want to have to worry about changing priority dates on all water rights, but we do need to worry about changing priority dates in this situation on trust transfers.
And we wrote, and so, I just want to also back up for a second and talk a little bit about the word change. So there's a change authorization, which I described a lot with this historic use and where an application would come in. But there's also just this mechanism that's called a change in the database. And this is going to get a little complicated, but sometimes change to a water right may be more simple or more explicit to an administrative activity than a full-blown application to change the purpose or other elements of the water right. This would be a situation where we would use the same change to modify the priority date based on this requirement. Similarly, sometimes if there's a replacement well on a statement of claim, DNRC will use a change to create a new point of diversion on a statement of claim that has a waived notice and much less stringent requirements because it's just replacing a bad well. And so that change activity in the database encompasses a few things other than just the formal change authorization process that you'd see where an applicant comes in, they've got the irrigation water right, and they want to do something else with it. Right?
Well, I guess, listening to it, my interpretation is that they don't have yet a way of isolating this particular change for the trust transfer without giving us access to change any priority date. That seems to be their problem with their technical problem, not ours. But that's just my interpretation of it.
Well, and furthermore, all DNRC staff have that same ability to change those priority dates now. And so the, although they might think that they would like to at a future iteration restrict that for their staff, currently, this is something that, we did not flag this as an issue because it is something that everybody who has access to the database would normally be able to manage, which is why we've already invested significant hours in creating a tribal trust transfer report. We have a format set up for how those applications forms would come into our office from the tribes. We have mechanisms set up on how that activity is each one of the things that's set forth in the ordinance, that's a water right activity that needs to be managed. We are having to build those features into the database. This disrupts, significant work that we've done. And then it also slows things down at a time where we've got one of our two dedicated wireless development people, James and Kathy Schubert. Kathy Schubert will be wrapped up by the end of the month. So really trying to encourage DNRC to just let us get things built.
Let me try to simplify our direction here. Either we agree that we want to try to pursue a solution to this to make it work, or we drop it at this point and let the state do what they're gonna do with those changes. Did that change process, is that?
The issue seems to be that, we will miss this important deadline for getting these change abilities, moving forward 5 months.
Well, yeah, it sounds, as you said, a lot more complicated at this point. I'm just trying to say, it looks like either you're trying to get the board to agree to either move forward with this and try to continue to work with the state and find a solution or not.
Or just tell the state that they need to get comfortable with the fact that we have the requirement.
Well,
And
finding,
to-
to me, that means finding a solution to this. So,
Okay, sorry.
from your perspective, Bailey, is that simple enough, clear enough, that if we just say, the board just says, yes, we want to continue to pursue a solution to this, to make this work with the state, is that adequate for now? And then I think the board would like staff and legal to try to work with them and work for a solution, see if we can, because otherwise I don't know what else we do other than just to say, well, whatever the state wants to do, they can do.
What's the downside? If we don't do that, I'm not following you. What?
Then we can't change those party dates in this instance if we don't have access to that
We
authority.
can't meet our statutory responsibility.
But for that particular section, I think that's what I'm interpreting.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, this is a legal question, is it in real life? I mean, is it something we're gonna encounter and have to deal with?
We have already got people who have engaged with our office to discuss the parameters of this. So I can't tell you for sure, but it's an active topic.
That's fine. I agree with you, but.
Continue to pursue,
Yes.
continue to pursue.
Yep.
Or, okay.
Yeah.
Please. Well, please, yeah, continue to pursue, let's see what kind of solution. I mean, when it comes back and we don't have any other choice, or if we need to try something else and then take action, we can do that. But at this point, that's what it says. We have
Yeah.
to be able to do that. Is there any reason not to take that position? Your standpoint?
No, there's no reason to. I think I would feel more comfortable, if either myself or a board member could be involved in the conversation this afternoon.
From my perspective, I prefer to you and whatever, technical staff. It has to be this afternoon, I'm assuming you'll have time enough after we're done today.
We'll do our best.
Extra time, let us know, we can pause. Yeah. Okay, anything else on that?
No, I appreciate you letting me walk you down that fairly complicated technical road about
Yeah,
both water right administration and the database.
okay, any other questions, board members?
No,
All right, thank you. Next. 2 items possibly going to take some lengthy discussion, potentially you guys want. You guys need a break at this point? What did you do? All right, take a quick break and then we'll jump into office building project planning, and then move on from there. All right. All right, welcome back from our break. Item number 7, office building project planning. So where are we with that? I know we did a couple interviews, and I guess we're maybe at the point where we need to make the selection, or are we looking for more information?
Mr. Chairman, board members, you wanted to make a selection, between the two firms that you interviewed.
So board members thought about it more?
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's discuss then, where we at. Let remind us of the names of the two. Do we have the names?
Low key, right? And, no, loci. It looks like, but it is pronounced loci, and, the other one.
MMK or MKW?
Something like that. I'll find that.
So,
Yeah,
so I think I fell into the trap of being impressed by Selectus. I think we could be happy with either one of them. I think I like them both. But I thought the first group was more personable, more relatable. They weren't as slick, but I just kind of felt that they would work closer with us. And that's based on nothing except gut reaction.
well, it's always important in each. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, board members, loci and MMW.
MMW.
Okay, yeah.
You know, if the board disagrees with me, I'm totally comfortable.
And I had a similar feeling about it, and I think UNW, they've been around so long and done so much, it just sort of comes natural to them, and they'd be very good. One thing that they did offer was to do the first initial estimate for us at no cost. I don't know if we've had that conversation with LoSci. Because I think, we haven't had that conversation that I know, unless you did.
No, I have not had that conversation. I will just, remind what I think I heard, which is that the 3 estimate would, I don't know that would give us what we really needed to move forward for getting funding. At some point, there's gotta be more paid for effort to get the really detailed cost estimate that we're gonna need, which will have some preliminary designs. And a level of detail that I don't think anybody's gonna want to do for free. And I think that was what Vice Chairman Noble noticed as well. I wish he was here to offer what he was, what he thought on an approach to that. But
So whichever one we're leaning toward, Georgia, do you have any additional thoughts?
No, I just, someone can help jar my memory. Was MMW the company that has done other buildings on the
Yeah,
reservation?
that's the one that did.
Yes.
They've done massive amount of work here for years, yeah.
That made me, I guess, tip a little more in their direction. They have that understanding of some of, the design that's been done here and the challenges with logistics and whatnot, but I felt just like you, they're both seem very, very capable, but that did make me tilt a little more toward MMW. I can be swayed either direction.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, Roger asked me to get more information from MMW. And that's kind of being held up because it went to the lawyers to see what they could release to us. And I haven't heard back from them. I checked last week, and Casey still hadn't heard anything. I like both of them. I like the two first two that we interviewed. But MMW does have the experience and have done a lot of work for the tribe, and you know they're going to already have an idea of where they could probably put the building. So I favor the MMW.
Whichever one we lean forward. I'm wondering if it wouldn't be beneficial to have a sort of a final discussion with them. Ask some final questions, like, you know, how is this gonna work to start with, and what's in the cost?
I think that's a good idea, because I think I'd be more comfortable if Roger was present.
Okay.
Mhm. And hopefully I'll get more information from Casey. I'll keep working on it. He was Roger was wanting information on how they bid, you know, for the contracting.
So the information Roger asked you to look into is actually something they did for the tribes? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, the bidding that they did for the Dewar building. I'm sorry there, my head's a little stuffed up. But
No, that's fine. I was just curious. Okay. All right. So, are we head nodding? We're head nodding in one direction or the other. I think what we want to do then is we want to meet with, do a second discussion with both of them, or pick one and do a discussion.
I would like to hear Roger's take on the whole issue. Because he's really looked at it probably a lot more in depth than I did. And then I'd like to make a decision as to, we want to do both the second interview or just one.
You want to call it?
He didn't seem inclined to talk today.
No, I mean, in the next day or so,
Oh, I could do that, sure.
and then give me a call.
Sure, I can do that.
You know, kind of give me some direction there.
Yeah.
And then we can, because I think it'd be good to have a second discussion with at least one. We could, since there's only two, we could just have a second discussion with both of you. Kind of clarify that.
I'll ask him that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sound fair?
Mhm.
Sound fair, George?
yes,
Okay. Anything else you need on that right now?
I don't think so, Mr. Chairman. We will consider the action to be stayed until additional information is obtained. Is that an accurate statement for the meeting minutes?
Yep, pending. Okay. Number 8.
Mr. Chairman, board members. Yes, and WP&Ps that went out for public notice. The topic for the WP&Ps, I believe that these are in the packet if you want to look at them. And they would look like this package right here. And if you'll remember, we needed to have some procedures in place for when the public requested information about hearings and or hearing records, and that would also include appeal information. And so Haley has done a great job writing this up. I got to follow a little bit on some items. This is just as a clarification point. This is different than a regular type of information request that somebody might come into with our office. This is I don't know if you call it privileged information, or it's certainly
Information during pending litigation. That's actually what these entail.
So the vast majority of our information is really readily available. This has some restrictions, when it's counted.
in those situations.
Correct.
This also does, specify a fee schedule.
See that?
Which is what we think makes sense and does generally track what the state DNRC hearings unit does.
George, can you see this?
Yeah, I spent about an hour this morning reviewing information that we had for the meeting today.
Okay, and this entire document went out for public comment, and I take it there was no public comment?
That is accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other board comments?
Well,
So before we take action, public comment, and again, is there any public online?
Welcome.
I didn't hear.
No.
No public, okay, thank you. And no public in the audience, so no public available to make comment for the record. So if the board is ready, we need action to adopt this WP&P 41-304 hearing record and public inspection requests.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt WP&P 41-04 hearing records of public.
A motion by Ken,
I'll second.
second by Georgia. All in favor, say aye.
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 hi.
Okay. We are good, we are gravy.
Excellent.
Okay,
Um,
item number 9.
So, Mr. Chairman, there's.
I got it. Okay. We have a board member that has had to step away for a minute. So we'll keep recording, if that's okay with you, and, let's just give him a minute and let him return, so just. We can put pause in the action, so. For the record, if. You don't hear or see anything for a few minutes, that's intentional. We'll try to train from the bad jokes. Like that one.
It's midterm.
Hello, no service.
Okay,
Contract set up 6 months ago.
Oh. I thought it
all
was.
right, we're still recording. Ken is back in, so, item number 9. Ethan.
Mr. Chairman, board members, what you have it in front of you is the draft Office of the Engineer Personnel Policies. There's kind of 3 items to quickly go over on you know, where we're at with personnel policies. Item 1 is that you know, there's a pretty concerted effort made to clean up the board's past work on Office of the Engineer Personnel Policies and to get a nice clean draft that has been out in the board's hands and also gone through a 15-day public comment period, during which time there were no comments received. That's up for discussion and possible board action. And then in addition to the larger body of work, there was some desire to, I believe, have an item on here to discuss physical fitness leave. And so that is on here for the board's discussion, should they want to engage in that. And then I have also provided you, which you do have printed out, one update that we would propose to the personnel policies, which would, be an infectious disease or illness in the workplace, amendment.
Okay, let's tackle 9.1. And it says 15-day public comment period ended, no comments received. Is that, we don't have that document in our file, right?
Because of the length, we did not print that out.
Okay. Does the board want to see that on the screen as a reminder before you take action on it?
That would be helpful.
So maybe we can pull that up so we can just see it and remind ourselves what it is we put out for public comment. We don't need to
It's
review it line by line, but maybe just kind of flash it up.
You could find it in the shared drive. Yeah.
And a reminder too, if the board wants the final version emailed and take the time to review it and approve at the next meeting, that's also an option.
Like that.
You want to consider that? You know, I appreciate that comment, and maybe we'll just flash it up and just remind ourselves, let's do that. I think also because Roger is not here, so, so that would mean we wouldn't take any action today, but this is it, so maybe just scroll through, how many pages are there, 40 pages?
Yeah, it's like 40 something.
Yeah.
No.
So, so this all, just for the record, this all went out for public review. And as Ethan mentioned, it was meant to just sort of tighten up, clean up some language in the personnel policies and procedures. And there were no public comments. And to the best of my recollection, barring any additional changes we want to make, this is our personnel policies now, right? Complete.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is the most complete personnel policies that we have so far. And so it did get the board's action to get it posted. But, you know.
Most complete so far, but other than any changes we would add to this in the future, my understanding is there's no other immediate pending sections we need to review to go back out. This is complete.
That's accurate, with the one exception.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so that's future.
Sure.
So essentially, we've got personnel policies now. And then now it's just a matter of adding, tweaking, making changes, so which is good, much appreciated, so thank you. We thank board for all your work. This is another milestone, I think.
It is. I'm so proud of us.
Yeah, okay. All right, anything in there that the board wants to see or look at right now? Or are you good to go?
Good to go.
Okay, so we will postpone action today. We will get emailed out to board members and make sure everyone is here, including Roger, the next meeting before we take action. So much appreciated. Thank you. 9.2. So I think Roger had, it says Georgia here, board member Sneeze, but I think Roger had some comments on that as well. But Georgia, I'll let you sort of take it from there, and if you want to do something today or just discuss it today, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I can just give a little update. Roger and I had met on this one issue for physical fitness leave, if you recall. we had originally wanted to include that in personnel policies as a benefit to the staff. And so that's written in there now. And then, now that we've gotten greater resolution on the budget, we have a better idea of what the constraints are on the budget and forward projections on it. We just met to look at what the cost would be. And so, at this point, I guess the shortest summary of this is Roger and I would recommend we take the physical fitness break or benefit out of personnel policies. The reason being is it adds up to quite a bit of additional cost on the budget. And the way it's included right now, it's not easy to use for the staff. So, that would be the initial recommendation. Now is take it out. Let us work on this some more. And there does seem to be a budget constraint that's not great.
Okay. Given that Roger is not here today as well, what would you recommend in terms of any board action?
I wouldn't take any action today, just an update on, I guess that's just an update on where our thinking is on this and let staff know and to understand the rationale behind it. It's not that we want to take a benefit from you. We love you guys, you're doing great work. It's just, there's a budget constraint.
Yeah. Yeah. Questions, Ken?
Well, I have a question. Guess my little, so if someone's been at the desk and they just want to go walk around the block, fresh air. Huh? No problem.
Right.
Okay. No questions.
Okay, George? Any questions?
I have visited with Roger on this a little bit, and with the tribe, it's a half hour of your own time and a half hour of the tribe's time, and you're expected to be working out at least for that hour. You don't get to use it, fitness leave, as personal leave. And so, so we need Roger's input again.
With that update and those comments, I think we'll wait until the next meeting to revisit that. Okay. Would you recommend we have it on the next agenda as an action item or just further discussion?
Let's have Roger back and discuss it, and then we'll move from there and get an action item. I think that'd be the best way to go.
All right,
Mr. Chair, I just have
yes,
maybe a simplification of that. At the next meeting, hopefully all of you have reviewed the personnel policies by that time. I can make a note on that particular section that there was a discussion during this meeting. Suggestion to remove this section. And that would actually be in the entire action item to approve the personnel policies at that time. You don't have to take specific action on each section.
oh, that would be excellent. So that raises another question. So now that we have a set of policies, anytime we change it, does it need to go back out for public comment?
If it's substantive, yes.
We can consider that to be substantive if we remove that.
The board can choose to put that particular section out or item out for public comment.
Or not. We can discuss it then.
Mhm.
So, okay,
But I'll make a note of it.
good option. All right, good. Very good. Thank you. 9.3, so we have a new document in here. 10.2, infectious disease or illness in the workplace. So Ethan.
There was some desire to have a more effective, cohesive plan about what happens when folks are sick. That is handled with these bullets. And includes some language from other policies that deals with infectious diseases in the workplace, but generally trying to set up, a culture of self-reporting and staying home when you're sick. And that, an immediate supervisor could assess the situation and determine an appropriate course of action, which may include sending an employee home if they appear to be sick in the workplace or isolating them. I don't know how much you want me to talk about it.
So I think whoever's, if anybody has questions, comments, continue the discussion. Maybe the best thing to do would be to just get an email to the full board and have it on the agenda for further discussion and possible action at the next. And then given that this would be tied to the 10-2, so this personnel. This would be added to the personnel policy, is that what it is?
Yeah, so the 10-2 that's up there is what, what was there, previously, and this is an extension.
So if we agree, then you might want to put this out for comment.
This would actually have to go out for public comment
So
regardless.
we would put this out for public comment. But once again, I think it'd be good to have Roger here, but this is it. So maybe get an email to everybody and then continue discussion. Yeah, Georgia.
Yeah, just a quick question. I do think it needs to be discussed because this is going to go back to our sick leave, so to encumber that, and then also there's a potential cost with providing PPE resources. Any idea of what an estimate of that would be?
I think we probably need to define what those are. I mean, face masks is a big one, but I think we can get those
It's not too
at
bad.
a little or no cost even, yeah. So that shouldn't be too bad, but I don't know what other office, workplace PPEs would be recommended.
Disinfectant wipes and hand sanitizer.
Maybe by the time we discuss this again, staff can, we put together a short list of what those items might be and potential cost.
Sure.
Cause I don't know what that would be short of things like cleaning supplies and face masks.
We just went through this at SKC and
Okay.
it adds up.
Yeah.
But that's on a big campus, but,
Yeah.
it can add up.
But important to today's environment, important to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all the new recommendations on measles precautions now?
No, now measles, yeah.
Now measles. We're back
You know,
to the medieval peasant.
Well, now that you mention that, I saw, what I thought was amazing, I didn't realize, news item on measles that said an infected person can walk through an area and someone else walking through that area where they were up to 2 hours can travel. So, yeah. Wow. Yeah. Just, yeah.
Giving me PTSD to COVID when it first came out,
Yeah,
where there was a COVID cloud.
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, all right. Any other questions? Thanks, Georgia. Any other questions, comments on this? Ken, Roger? I'm George. I'm Roger.
No.
All right,
All good.
but more to come. Future discussion. Does this mean we're done? Wow. So we can't put her.
Have we ever done that before? Been ahead of schedule?
Well, not this far.
The last meeting was pretty early.
Yeah, yeah. Next meeting dates. Is everyone satisfied with 9 o'clock starting time? I think we're doing this to accommodate schedules, right? Yours and Ken's. Georgia and Ken, is that right?
That's right.
I'm fine with it.
But then SKC graduation is on June 7th. So after that, Ken and my schedules become flexible again.
Okay, that's true.
I have to make a spreadsheet again.
Don't use color coded spreadsheet.
Awful.
That was bad. This is the first time they've ever had hours so overlapping and, yeah, really conflicting.
So proposed dates, May 14, June 4. So, flipping along with things like personnel policies, are there other policy items that we need to continue to tackle?
We would, I'm gonna get interested in re-engaging with WP&Ps for water rights
Okay,
stuff.
so given that, and we're trying to make those advancements, is one meeting in May adequate for you? Is that gonna be adequate for us to
Mr. Chair,
continue to make progress? Yes.
I would, I mean, and this is completely up to you, but I would recommend the following week in May. May 15th is the deadline for briefing submissions for the appeal. So I think we would just have a more healthy agenda if we push the meeting off to the following week. I think the 14th would probably have a lighter agenda like today.
So the 21st you're suggesting?
Yes.
Oh, geez. Okay. So do you have the
Okay.
14th open? Oh, okay, that's good. That does pose a problem with us trying to get a budget meeting coordinated for first and second quarter reporting, right?
Would that meeting be after the board meeting?
Would that be okay? Are we doing a morning meeting?
Yes.
We could.
We could do it.
Actually. Okay, we're good. Well,
For the 21st?
for the 21st.
Okay.
It's gonna be a long day.
It's a long day.
Do pizza.
That's right.
Is there any reason to have add another meeting in May at any other time? You want to do the 14th and 21st?
I
Do you
know,
have enough business?
I know for policies, any sort of creation with policies, I mean, the 21st would probably be a good time frame to give us more time to coordinate some probably better, more complete policies than by the 14th.
Okay,
And I don't have to. Use 9 to 12, I can go 10 to 2. That makes it more convenient. My class is 3 to 5.
I was just thinking that what crossed my mind was if we started at 9 and maybe we even say 9 to 1 with the option of going 9 to 2 or 9 to 3.
9 to 3 would be pretty hard.
Pushing it 9 to 2, yeah, just adding an extra hour if we need it. So,
And as far as June 4th, my class pretty much be over by then, so I'm available all day. So. But I don't know about you.
No, it's finals week.
so that is final week.
That is finals week.
My family will be done now.
So we need to stick to the 9 to 1.
That'll help me.
June
Yeah.
4th. Okay.
Sorry, is the meeting on 5/21 gonna be 9 to 1 or 10 to 2? I got a little lost.
9 to 1, May 21st.
9 to 1. With the option of adding an extra hour if we need it. I don't know how you post that, but that's. Let's do it that way. Now that I look, June 4, today. So as I mentioned, I'm on another board, and if I actively engage in that week, I would be gone. There's an option for me to not do that, but if I do that, I'd be gone that week. So, we can keep the date, and as long as there's a point, so just heads up. What week would you on? The week of the due for me, that's a strong possibility, but we'll see.
Following week after that, I will be gone. Hopefully.
Okay, so we need to stick, so we'll stick to the 4th.
And then we'll not have a laptop.
So May 21 and June 4. And we want a water rights scenario meeting. Maybe that's the additional meeting we had. I don't, somewhere in there, but we need a water rights scenario meeting. We want to do something like that in May, squeeze that in somewhere in May, or do another one in June.
May is just really, really busy for me.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay. And propose some day for that. Something we can target, try to look at and get it out, see what Dr. thinks.
So you're gone perhaps the first week. I'm tentatively not here the second week of June. It sounds like you aren't either. So then the next available day would be like the 18th of June. You back?
hopefully.
Is the
And it doesn't have to be a Wednesday. Like
Yeah.
I said, after that, I'm flexible. So
okay. For the staff and legal, the water rights scenario meeting, is that something we can work into a regular agenda, or do you want, or are we thinking that would be a separate special meeting?
Well, originally you had said you wanted a separate special meeting. I can work it into, a regular meeting, or it's really what you want as a board.
Well, I'm thinking if we're off as far as June 18th, so. We still need a regular meeting sometime in June if we did the water rights scenario meeting. Unless you wanna pick a day that week and just have a full day meeting.
Could it be roped into that June 4th meeting potentially?
Yeah, we could do parts of it on, the 21st and parts of it on the 4th. They're compartmentalized items, so I can work.
Let's start with that.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, just a reminder, on the 21st, the budget committee is meeting. And so after regular board meeting, the budget committee needs to meet, so.
Build a compact agenda. Compact as possible. All right. Sound, so 21st and June 18th, is that what we're looking at?
okay.
Or June, or do you guys want to stick with the 4th? 4th and 18th?
Okay, well,
I could come on the 4th and the 18th, but I can't. I won't be here on the 11th.
Right, so should we say 4th and 18th?
Sure.
Yep.
So let's put those dates up. And that'll give you a little extra.
9 to 2 on, or 9 to 1 on the 21st, 9 to 2 on the 4th, and 9 to 2 on the 18th.
Time wise, if you guys schedule three, that we can go 9 or we can start later, whatever you guys want to do.
I don't care, I prefer later, but
Yeah, I think later would be nice, but yeah,
Later's fine with me.
we'll have a regular time on the AP.
1 to 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And you'll, as you said, compartmentalize and then, you know, for each of those meetings, work some discussion about water rights scenarios in those agendas.
Yep.
Okay. Or public meeting training. Okay, I don't remember this one, so.
So early on, you took, the class that a lot of public boards take, from the, Montana, State University Extension Office. And there's a group that goes out and they give public meeting training to all sorts of boards, from county commissioners to any public operating board in Montana. It's focused on Montana's open meeting laws. And it's on here to see if the board would like to reengage that. A new training, you have a board member who has not had a training. I just threw it out here for you to think about it more. Did
I'm probably one of those, because I don't remember doing training. Did you guys do that?
I think we had somebody come talk with way in the beginning.
Is it too, is it too presumptuous to ask or wonder if they have a PowerPoint presentation that's available just to send to us? Take a look at, that'd be at least that much,
Sure.
and then, you guys wanna do something with that? Sure. Well, I mean, have a meeting, but. Yeah,
PowerPoint would probably be enough for me, just refreshing.
well, why don't we do that and then decide if you wanna have,
Yeah.
let's see if they have something like a PowerPoint or YouTube or something like that, that's. And then if we wanna follow up with a meeting, yeah. Cause I don't remember doing that first one, I probably wasn't available, but, yeah, that'd be good to see.
It is really a common training for boards.
Okay.
In Montana, but
Yeah, there was a lady, I don't remember her name, but she gave the training.
Yeah, you can call that, Kelly, were you part of that? Or-
I did not attend that, no, but I do remember it. Remember you having it, yep.
Okay.
I remember we had some pretty nuanced.
If they do have something, let's make sure the board ideally gets it, all the board ideally, and maybe staff, just get to the staff as well. Just if it's something they have that we can access easily, yeah. And then add it on to a future agenda for discussion and see if we want to do anything more, yeah. Let's do it that way. All right. Anything else, Ken? No. George, George, anything else?
No.
Hey. Ethan, anything else?
yes, sir.
Haley?
Nope.
Motion to adjourn? Motion by Ken,
I'll second.
second by Georgia, all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, we'll do our, executive session with Ethan. As soon as we can gather in his office.